Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis, beginning with the first article on the front page of Delhi edition. This article talks about Rajasthan cabinet seeks house session on 31st July. So there have been recommendation by the Rajasthan government to the governor of Rajasthan, Mr. Kalraj Mishra, for holding the assembly session. And on one hand, the Rajasthan government is appealing for the assembly session, but on the other hand they also have some apprehension for the defection. So we are going to discuss about the anti defection law that is mentioned in schedule 10 of the Constitution of India. Now let's just start with the anti defection law. This particular law was introduced in the year 1985 through 52nd Amendment Act, and under this changes were made in four articles of the Constitution, and they were Article 101, Article 102, Article 119 and Article 191. These two articles belongs to the Parliament and these two articles belongs to the Assembly, and there was an insert of a new schedule to the Constitution of India, and that was Schedule 10. This Schedule 10 was also inserted through this amendment. Now we need to understand who we are going to call as the defector. Now there are three conditions. The first condition that talks about, now suppose first a member that belongs to a political party. Now suppose I have a member and that member belongs to party A, and he is about to get elected from a certain constituency, and after getting elected, if he switches to political party B, then he is to be known as the defector. So this will be the first case under that a member of a political party can be declared as a defector. Now we can talk about the second case. Second case talks about the independent member. An independent member of a parliament or an assembly will be a member who doesn't belong to any political party before the elections. Now we are assuming that case. An independent member is supposed to get elected. After getting elected, he joins political party C. In that condition, that person will be declared as an defector. So that is the second case. Now coming to the third case. Third case is about the nominated member. A member will be known as a nominated member. For example, in parliament, and more specifically if we talk about the Lok Sabha, two members will be nominated in the Lok Sabha by the president. They belong to certain community and they get nominated by the president. Similarly, there are 12 members who each year get elected in Rajya Sabha. They also get nominated by the president, and similarly at the state level, governor nominates one member to the assembly. So these are certain provisions that we're going to discuss about. So now in this case there are two cases, case A and case B. Case A talks about when a member is nominated by the president in any house, then if he joins a political party before completion of the 6 months after the date of his nomination, then he'll not be known as a nominated member. In case A, that nominated member, if he joins a political party within 6 months after his nomination, he will not be as a defector. But after 6 months, if he joins a political party, he will be a defector. So this will be the case. So these three are the cases and circumstances in which a member can be termed as a defector under the anti-defection law. Now we're going to talk about adjudicating authority. It talks about the person who is going to preside, the presiding member in the house, where a supposed member will be called as a defector. Now the question rises whether this presiding officer of the house concerned will be under the scrutiny of judicial review or not. Initially, the presiding officer, he was not under the judicial review, but later in Kyoto Holohan case in 1993, Supreme Court ruled that the presiding officer, he will be acting like a tribunal in such circumstances where the case is going on for the defection. So if the presiding officer is going to work as a tribunal, then that tribunal will be under the scrutiny of the Supreme Court under the judicial review. Now one more question is there. Now suppose a member is declared as the defector by the presiding officer. So will that decision will be an immediate effect or not? So that is the question. So to answer this question, we need to understand one more thing. Now before the presiding officer declares a member of a house as a defector, he will have two options. First, asking for the explanation, and second, he may refer the case to the committee of privileges. So these two options the presiding officer of the concerned house will always have. So if he has these two options, so obviously the immediate effect will not be there. There are some exceptions as well. There are two exceptions. First is what talks about the merger, and second talks about the presiding officer. Now first let us talk about the merger. Now let's say there are two parties, two political parties, party A and party B. These two parties, if they have joined hands even after the elections, and in both the parties 2/3 majority are willing to join or willing to merge, so then under that case there will be no defection. So this will be the first case. And second, a member has become now presiding officer and he is voluntarily giving up his membership from that political party that he belongs to, or after some time he rejoins that political party again. So in these two circumstances there will be no defection. There are some criticisms as well. Now few of them I have mentioned here. For the first talks about that there is no differentiation between an individual and the complete party. That means we have earlier talked about the merger. That means if two political parties are getting merged, then there will be no defection. But if an individual that joins a political party after getting elected, then he will be known as defected. So that is one such case. And second, that talks about the merger and split. In case of the two political parties, if they get merged, there will be no defection. But if a political party that gets splitted even by one third vote, then also he will be under the scrutiny of defection. So that is one such case. And this provision was initially there in the original law, but after 91st Constitution Amendment Act 2003, this provision was removed. Now we need to understand why this 91st Constitutional Amendment Act 2003 has been introduced. So there are three reasons, mainly three reasons. Other reasons are also there. The first reason is the Dinesh Goswami Committee. This committee was established in 1990, and in that committee some electoral reforms were talked about. As there was a push for the electoral reforms, so this committee was formed, and this committee gave some recommendations. So as of now, the recommendation of this committee are of no use, but at that point in time the recommendations were obviously they were very much important. Now, talking about the second reason, it was about the 170th report of the Law Commission of India in 1999. So this commission also gave some recommendations. Now coming to the third one, which is National Committee to Review the Working of the Constitution. This committee was set up in the year 2000. It submitted its report in 2002, and this committee is abbreviated as NCRWC. Now this committee gave some recommendations, and these recommendations we're going to discuss. So there are two provisions. First, we're going to discuss about the limiting. It talks about the limiting the number of ministers in the government. This committee, NCRWC, this committee gave recommendation to limit the percentage of the ministers in any government up to 10% of the maximum strength of the house. And second case, that talks about the split. This split should be removed from the exceptions, because earlier, before the year 2003, this split provision was also there. So this split provision had to be removed. So they gave these two recommendations. This committee gave these two recommendations. So now we have discussed about the recommendation that were given by NCRWC, but there were some other provisions. So those provisions we're going to discuss. Two provisions are very important as per the syllabus. First was to limit the number of ministers up to 15% of the maximum strength of the house. It is in the parliament and it is also there in the assembly, but earlier the recommendation was 10%. 10% recommendation was given by NRC-WC, but the actual provision was 15%. Second, splitting. If 1/3 members of the political party they are willing to get splitted, they will not be supposed as anti-defector. That means they will be known as defectors now. So after introduction of the 91st Constitutional Amendment Act 2003, these two main provisions were added through it. So that was all about the anti-defection law. Thank you very much.